Hi guys, it's Han here. Some friends asked me recently which model Lexus GX they should buy, 2023 or 2024. Let's talk about it today. Thanks to Tim Bay. Buy Lexus from Tim. Thanks for subscribing, liking, commenting, forwarding, and lighting up the little bell. A lot of GX460 videos I have posted. I have made up my mind several times not to make videos about it anymore, but I have been asked by too many friends recently. One is because the 2023 is final model of GX58 engine. The prices on the market are still relatively good right now. Another is the new GX won't be in stores until March 2024. Some friends won't be able to wait. So today we will talk about it, after I analyze the advantages and disadvantages of this car for you. And then let's decide which is the right car for you if you need to take the plunge or need to wait. And the one we're checking out today, in reference to this one, is a 2023 Lexus GX460 from Tim here, optional, the heated wood grain steering wheel, with headlight wash, 265/60R18 wheels, black spoke wheels. It's optional with the premium package. In package, there are Mark Levinson 17-speaker stereo, power third row seat, LED fog lights, rain sensing wipers, heated and ventilated front seats, 2 captain seats in second row with heating function. The MSRP with shipping is $65,685, and the engine, transmission, and final assembly are all from the Japan plant. The current 2023 GX, like the big guys in the Toyota family, is overdue for service. This model was first introduced in the 2010 model year, and it's the second generation of the GX. A facelift was carried out on 2014 model, while after the 2020 model, there were some updates and improvements every annual facelift. Every year has some modest upgrades. Continuing the life of this GX. Until now, all the big guys have been replaced. It is finally the turn of the GX to be replaced on the 2024 model. After the replacement, in terms of appearance, has big change from the previous gen, which didn't inherit much from the old generation. Although it was an off-road style before, it was designed relatively rounded according to the design of Japanese cars at that time. Frankly speaking, I like the shape of the current GX. First thing, it's an off-road vehicle, but it's not designed to be as straight and angular as today's cars. Understandably, at that time, even on Toyota's very off-road model FJ Cruiser. Its design we can see is relatively rounded and not as straight-angled as the current model design. After the 2020 model, GX has changed its front face, cancelling all the large areas of chrome strips. Only a circle of chrome color is left on the outer frame of the grille. In the middle, it's all black-colored trim. We saw 2024 GX once before. It is completely different from this one. Nowadays, no matter in various design fields, the design is based on publicity as beauty. The implicit expressions of the past are no longer popular today. More flamboyant designs have become popular in the auto world. The new GX is also relatively rare that after it came out, there were very few negative reviews and basically all I saw were positive. Everyone loved it. But personally, frankly, I like the old GX look better, and personally, I've got a little bit of a temper, but I'm not a flamboyant personality. Maybe the old design is more to my taste, more in line with my aesthetic, however. It's a matter of opinion. The all-new styling, in terms of exterior dimensions, is seriously outclassed by the old model. As you can see from the data, if we delve deeper into the numbers, the new model is 2.4 inches longer than the old model in terms of wheelbase. In total length, the new model is 4.94 inches longer than the old model. The height of the new model is also slightly higher. If you look at the old model from the front or from the rear, its cross-section is like a square. This was a rather strange design at the time. The body appears to be relatively narrow and tall, especially in rainy and snowy weather. When driving this car or turning corners, must control the speed. The new model in this regard is a lot more harmonized than the old model. It's also taller, but it's wider, so it's more solid, unlike the old model, which had a taller bar. And just to be clear, new or old, the rear suspension is a monoblock axles, not independent. The front suspension are both independent. Also in new TNGA brothers, including the Tundra, Sequoia, and LX, all of which have independent front suspension. The rear are all monoblock axles. As I said before, the GX is a car with a lot of personality. Those who like it can tell many reasons why they like it, and those who don't like it can tell many reasons why they don't. If you are used to driving city crossover SUVs with unibody construction, then you drive this kind of body-on-frame SUV. You definitely won't get used to this feeling. Basically, most of these body-on-frame SUVs are based on pickup truck platforms. This GX is no exception. This beam and rear axle are of integral axle construction. It's a big improvement in load bearing and body rigidity under extreme conditions, and it's a big help. But in terms of on-road performance, on-road feeling is not as good as those unibody city SUVs, and that's we all know. If we're not used to driving body on frame, this is the type of vehicle that I suggest you try out it before you make an order. Try out to see if it is right for you. Minimum ground clearance on old is 8.1. The data of new model has not been released yet. The approach angle of the old model is 20 degrees and the departure angle is 23 degrees. The approach angle of the new model is 26 degrees and the departure angle is 23 degrees. The wheels of the old models are all 18 inches. On the off-road version of the new model, the wheel is 18 inches. On other trims, it is 20 inches, and on the top trim, it is 22 inches. The old model, you can also see some chrome colors on the side. It's got these black wheels, which I personally don't like. A fixed pedal, which is currently considered a repertoire, is also retained on new models. The GX's doors open at a normal angle, not too much. The front two windows are double laminated glass and the rear two windows are single glazed. The lower edge of its door does not cover the lower edge of the car, but the pedals are able to withstand some mud and sand. Considering the size of GX, as my height, I have to step on the pedals to get in. It would be a bit inelegant without the pedals. For old model, you can see metal parts when sit inside and look at the door frame. It just puts a layer of stickers on it, but stickers are better than no stickers. Old model also has a deceleration and noise reduction design when the glass is closed. This is also very Lexus-like. I don't know if it will be retained in the new model. Old model, it's got 13.3-inch diameter ventilated discs on the front. The rear discs are 12.3-inch diameter ventilated. The brakes on the old models are a little soft. It is something you should consider seriously. The new one will hopefully see some improvement on brake system, but no data is known at this time. The back of the old GX we're so familiar with. We've seen it many times before, and from the back, the section looks like a square. There is a tail fin on it and a wiper hidden under the tail fin. I personally like this design very much. This glass can also be opened. We've talked about this many times before. The bumper is very protruding, and there is a rubber on it, which obviously makes you feel like you are stepping on it, and it looks more off-road. One exhaust is relatively thick and is placed on the right in a straight-out form. The tailgate on old model is open left and right. The new one opens up and down, and this has been debated on the internet. Which is more practical, still needs to be judged based on your own use scenarios. Different people have different opinions, and there is no way to generalize. Personally speaking, it doesn't matter left to right or up to down. The main thing is that having a power tail can show a more high-end feel. The door opened. There is a lock below. I've talked about this before. Japan brands SUV were more willing to make something on the door panels. There are two storage compartments in the back. This one's empty. In the other area, it looks like there's a warning sign, a triangle or something. And this one's just simple tools. The old model, because it was taller, it hides the third row seats underneath. The lower edge of the trunk appeared to be higher, but the new model isn't too far behind. When the third row of seats is put down, the whole trunk space is very good, and it's basically enough for the family to spend the day. This is the performance after both second and third rows folded down. I still say the same thing. If you buy a GX, I suggest you use it as a 5-seater SUV. The third row of seats is basically useless, no matter new or old model. On the left, the knob puts the third row of seats down. A subwoofer, underneath cover, open it, there's a jack in there. Hooks on left and right. 120-volt, 100-watt, two-phase power output. The GX has a spare tire. It's a bottom-mounted, so open this opening and use the special tool to put down the spare tire. In fact, the current appearance is no longer the original appearance of GX. It has been integrated into its current appearance after several annual changes. Although Lexus is doing its best to extend the life of this Gen GX, we can also see that the parts used in the GX are not the latest common parts of the family. It leaves the latest common parts for a new generation of products. We have seen this many times in previous videos, including the relatively retro dashboard and the steering wheel that was often used on the previous generation model, which is a common family member before. Although the screen in the middle is slightly larger than the previous GX, It is not the latest Lexus interface system. It still needs to be operated through the pad below. From the software and clarity of the LCD screen and a lot of physical buttons, we can see it has a generational difference with the new GX we looked at before, but this old one, what I like is that it also retains Toyota or Lexus's understanding of luxury back then. There were many excellent designs in luxury level at that time. You can see that the use of decorative panels, leather materials, and slush molding is quite appropriate. It has been changed beyond recognition after the several facelift. On the GX 2019 before, I think it better reflects the luxurious design of Lexus. I personally like the rounded lines and retro design. Compared with the large screen design of the current new generation products, I think I prefer this kind of texture. Of course, this is a matter of opinion. If a relatively well-developed screen system, if the relatively rich electronic functions play a large role in your decision, I think you should wait for the new GX. If you are like me, don't care about too many functions and prefer this kind of old-school design, then I think this generation of GX can still meet your needs. This version, a version before Lexus interface, although the new version is also designed to be more straight. But the information is definitely richer than this. You can see the CarPlay of its iPhone and Android phones both need to be connected with cable, which is also old school, and the backup camera on this car is actually quite similar to the previous GX, with a smaller area and very little clarity. The new and old GXs don't feel much different in terms of seating position. They both feel like they're holding your body up higher. Of course, the Japan brand's body-on-frame SUVs don't feel too far off. In terms of space, it feels like the new model will be better than the old one, but the old one doesn't have any problems with space at all. Very spacious. Regardless of the dimension of space, the new and old models of seats feel quite comfortable. This is the similarity between the two. I feel like the new seats are more similar to the old ones, in terms of materials like the soft vinyl on the top and the leather on the bottom. Leather underneath is hard plastic, and above the door panels is soft vinyl, upholstery, leather. Here's the hard plastic. You can see that in that era, whether it was Lexus or Toyota, their slightly larger hardcore off-road vehicles had a set of handles on each door. This one. One set on each door. Where the legs can touch, bottom is relatively low. There is a circle of hard plastic underneath, and the top is imitation leather, where the elbow and hands can touch, basically no hard plastic. The interior color is light color, really bright, but it's really not very stain resistant either. It actually made the seat belt a light color. I don't know what the designer think about this. As you all know, before entering the TNGA platform, Toyota's small car, all parts are relatively light to handle. For such a big SUV, all parts are relatively heavy to handle, including the steering wheel and the pedals below. But when it comes to the TNGA platform, everything changes. Big vehicles are lighter to handle in every way, including the Tundra, Sequoia, and LX. The last time we tried the new GX, we felt that it was more in line with the TNGA platform. The steering wheel and pedals are relatively light, much lighter than the old GX, which was very heavy. Ladies can be a little stressed when they drive it. The brake and the gas pedals both seem very heavy as well. This is the old model, not as good as the new design. Besides the pedals are very heavy, the vehicle still has a mechanical parking mechanism on foot, not an electronic one, which has been improved on the new model. The material used for the roof on the old GX was the same old school velvet. This car comes with a panoramic mirror, a feature not often seen on today's cars. Left and right part of armrest box can be moved forward and backward separately. The second row seats on new and old both feel very comfortable, and the old second row seats are very nice. The new model is better than the old one in terms of space. In the second row, both have a raised theater effect and both have higher sightlines in the second row than in the first. The second row of this car has two captain seats with an aisle between them. There's a cup holder and a small armrest next to each seat. The small armrest is height adjustable, but it's not quite long enough. The second row of this GX still has the flavor of the original taste because the second row has not been involved in several annual updates. In the second row, I still feel the delicate feeling of the old Toyota. I like this feeling better, which is hard to explain. It's the moment you touch it, the moment you sit on it, you have that telepathic connection. The air conditioning in the back is also zoned. and the controls is in the back of the front armrest. 2 charging ports underneath. The central platform is not too high. On the door panels, soft vinyl on top, leather on the bottom, hard plastic on the very bottom. We make a mark today. When the new GX comes out, we'll compare them. Here is the vents on top. Whether it's a new model or an old one, we should just have to think of the GX as a 5-seater. Don't ever think of it as a 3-row SUV. The third row of seats is very stretchy, and when the third row of seats is opened up, the space in the trunk and the space in the third row are not enough. This new model is very much the same as the old model, so if you think of it as a 2-row SUV, there's no problem. But if you have a need for a third row, it's not the right SUV for you. The new GX cancels the V8 engine, which we have talked about many times before. The 2023 GX currently on sale is still the last V8 engine of the Toyota family SUV. Statistically speaking, this purely self-priming V8, there is definitely no way to compare with the current powertrains that have added technology and means, including the turbocharged and the hybrids. The numbers cannot compare to the new guys. If you are data controlled, the new model is definitely better than the old one. In terms of experience, although we have not driven the brand new GX, we have driven its older brothers on the TNGA platform and those who have upgraded to 6-cylinder engines. Frankly speaking, the power is a bit swifter than the previous V8. The power experience is much better than the previous V8 machine. As we all know, Toyota abandoned its V8 engine relatively early. It's been a long time since Toyota invested in this powertrain, including the 5.7 and this 4.6. Both in terms of power data and power output, the new V6 is much better than the V8. Power experience is much better than this V8 engine. Plus, the new 8-speed transmission is more user-friendly than the 6-speed one. This 6-speed box is a bit of a stutter, frankly, especially in extreme conditions. Sounds more stuttering, which we've talked about in a lot of videos. So if you're just going for power, then don't think about it. You should wait for the new one. The new one is definitely more exciting than the old one, and for me personally, I still have a soft spot for these V8s, and I still love them. I've talked about this before, but a V8 machine like this is purely natural, not processed in any way. Like a small displacement turbocharged, it's like a squeeze. If I had a choice, I'd rather have this V8. It's got an airy power delivery and a smoothness to it that no small displacement turbocharged can match. But have no choice, whether we like it or not. Currently, in the Toyota family, there are only a few sporty models still have the high-end V8 engine. In the usage scenarios of our daily life, currently 2023 model GX460 will be the V8 swan song in the big Toyota lineup. If you finally choose the old GX, I believe you must be a fan of V8 engine. Otherwise, you probably wouldn't have chosen this old V8. From the EPA's published gas mileage, on a combined conditions, the new 3.4 V6 twin turbo and this V8 both get 17 mpg combined. And this proves something we've talked about before. As long as the body is of a certain class, and the weight of the body, mpg of small engine driving big car and a big heart for a small are really not so different. The new model also has a higher maximum towing capacity than the old one. Maximum towing capacity on the new model is 8,000 pounds, and on the old model, it was 6,500 pounds. The new GX also plans a 2.4 turbo hybrid powertrain. It haven't released parameters for the powertrain yet, but if you want to squeeze it in, there are endless possibilities. Whether it's positioned above or below 550 is unclear at this point. If it's under 550, what's the price? If it's over 550, isn't it too expensive? We don't know yet. We'll see what Toyota does. Finally, the last thing you can't get around is the price. The 2023 GX460 is currently on the market at a discount in different areas. The concessions are not quite the same. Although the discounts are a drop in the bucket compared to the GX460 of previous years, but if you compare it to the rest of the Lexus family today, it's pretty good. What we can expect is that when the new generation GX comes out, I don't think there's much chance of a discount. Judging by the orders they're already getting, it looks like it's going to be a seller product. And when the new models come out, they're going to be priced a little higher than the old ones, which is the norm for the big Toyotas right now, just from a price standpoint. From price standpoint alone, the 2023 GX460 is still a good fit. Please forget about the advantages I mentioned above. If the shortcomings of old GX I mentioned above, which are compared to the new GX, you can still accept it. I think this GX460 is still suitable for you. Then if I said these relative disadvantages, you cannot accept it. I think if you want to go with the GX, you should wait for the new one, of course. As always, buy what you like. Don't control. Don't be shy. Above video, thank you all.